Oklahoma City Thunder select Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga University.
What a pass. Giddy underneath for JRE. The reverse and the rookie-to-rookie action. SGA defended closely by Westbrook. Tough. Step back. Gets up the shot. Banks it in for the lead.
This is Udort. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up, and welcome to the Uncontested podcast, coming to you live Sunday, October 2nd. We are brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network and DailyThunder.com. I'm your host for the evening, Jacob Niffen, and we have a packed house here. We've got JD Silva.
Hello.
Got Tayler Peterson.
How about those Chiefs and the Thunder play tomorrow? It's a good night. Good night.
We've got Justin Peabody.
Hello, everybody.
And the one and only Nicholas Crane.
Nothing made me happier other than if Tayler said, "Let's go Chiefs," while it's halftime and the game's not even over, acting like it's already a win in the bag and they lose. And everyone listening to this in the morning gets to
hear me cry at the end of this.
Before we dive into stuff tonight, guys, few things. First off, I've been plugging them a lot lately. I have a whole bunch of hats going out in the mail tomorrow. So here's the Uncontested hat if you're watching the live stream. You know you want one. They're clean. They're awesome. They got the big U, Thunder U, Uncontested. They say the Uncontested on the back. They are beautiful. If you want a hat, very limited run. I've got a handful of them left. You got to get in the DMs on whichever social platform you want. Hit us up for a hat. We will get you one ordered and mailed out to you ASAP. I feel like I'm running like a small business over here at my house. It's crazy. Got a USPS account and everything. We also have new Uncontested stickers. If you order a hat, I'll send you a free sticker. If you don't want a hat, but you do want a sticker, just drop a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts at. Screenshot it. Send it to us in a DM along with your address. I will package you up a sticker in a little envelope. I'll handwrite your address on it. I'll even put your Twitter at if you want. I've had to do that on a few of those, and I feel kind of awkward. Like, at Thinboy Poku, and instead of like their actual name. It's really funny.
That's funny.
I will mail stickers out to you for a 5-star rating. Tomorrow, Monday night, probably today, if you're listening to this podcast on Monday, first Thunder preseason game means first Uncontested post-game podcast.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Your boy is going to have it. I'm running the post game tomorrow. I cannot wait. Get everyone in here in the YouTube chat with us afterwards. Talk about what we see from the Thunder. Does J-Dub drop 30? Is it 40? Does Poku have a 5x5? I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But it's going to be a blast. So make sure to join us for the post game tomorrow. Super excited about that. The game is on the Thunder app. And I think at the Thunder's website is where you can watch it. It's not on Bally Sports. It might be on League Pass. Is that correct?
No.
No League Pass.
I don't think so.
Just the Thunder app or Thunder website, whatever.
I think there's some exclusivity with these first few. I think because I think Bally has to be streaming for the NBA League Pass app to rip that stream.
Gotcha.
And playing international teams, there could be some some networking.
Stuff.
Yeah, some right.
Yeah. Well, so just to plug next week's show, a week from today, we'll be doing our bets pod. So if anybody has any unique punishments, please let us know. You have 1 week.
Oh, people are already in the DMs, and they are wild.
There's some deranged shit in those DMs.
Well,
it's incredible.
The reason I bring that up is because I want to do a little teaser version of that. I don't want to do like any bets, but I want you guys to go quick round table. When the game finishes tomorrow night, think about like if you're right in the front page of the newspaper in Oklahoma, what's the headline on the sports section tomorrow as it relates to the first preseason game?
Who goes
Championship
first?
or bust? No, in all honesty, no one got hurt. Sign me up for that headline.
Yeah.
No Shea, no problem.
Oh,
Oklahoman.
So they
Josh
win,
Giddey.
huh?
They win.
Oh, wow. Josh Giddey finishes 7 of 9 from 3.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh. You're supposed to keep the hot takes for next
Got to
week.
get wild.
Tomorrow night's game is in Denver, so the headline is Poku hype higher than anyone in Denver. As he drops 35-5.
Is that about cannabis or like elevation?
Yes.
See all of the above.
Okay.
Speaking of the bets pod, Nick just mentioned it. Next Sunday, so send us over your best bets, your best punishments, so we can get them in. I paid off a bet yesterday.
Yeah, you did. I had a big old Amazon box waiting for me.
What's in that Amazon box, Justin?
3 double stuffed packs of Oreos, because I bet you that Josh Giddey would be the youngest player in the NBA to record a triple-double. We all know how that turned out. Fabulous. My wife's already body shaming me, and I haven't even opened the package yet.
Hey, if you don't give some of those Oreos to the infant, I will be upset.
I don't think that's advised.
Get them started early. Hey, they have like a bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drop that bad
Milk
boy in the
and
bottle.
cookies.
Milk and cookies. Start them early, man. Start them early. Hey, speaking of bets and triple doubles, Justin owes me a triple patty hamburger.
Indeed.
Ooh.
Come on
Because
down. We'll get you a 3x3 at In-N-Out.
Oh, and
Hey,
now.
I'm not even joking with you right now, Justin. I am on fall break Thursday and Friday, and my
Hey-o.
wife has to teach still. I might just drive down to Dallas. Just for the In-N-Out.
Just for a cheeseburger?
Just for the In-N-Out.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
It was only Tayler, Justin, and I on the bets pod last year. So we
Cowards.
are paying off bets.
Yeah, I think that means we need Nick and Kamiar and Silva to finance some of these bet payoffs.
I
since they
agree.
were,
Oh wow.
too cheap.
Well, one that doesn't need financing that I might get kicked off the show after. I
so
made a bet
excited.
last year with both Tayler and Justin. And I said that Trey Man would play more G League games than NBA games.
What an idiot.
Hey, multiple apologies to Trey Man on this episode. First, for that bet, because Trey is cold. He is awesome. I think he's going to have a huge role in this team next season. One of the guys I'm most excited to watch preseason basketball for is Trey Man. Second reason I need to apologize to Trey is because the payoff for this bet that I lost was whoever lost had to rap a Trey 1K track.
One of my better punishments I've ever come up with.
Yeah, live on the Uncontested podcast.
Yes.
Y'all ready?
Yes. I've been
As
waiting
ready
a
as I
year
can
for
be.
this, Jacob.
This is not going to be good. I can't rap. This is going to
it'll
be
be
more
great.
like me talking the lyrics. For the record, no profane language. Shout out to Trey 1K and his first song drop on Apple Music, so I don't have to say any profane words on the podcast. Not that I don't already, but I don't know. The first time I've ever felt nervous on the podcast.
Ayo.
Here
Secondhand
we go.
embarrassment is real.
I don't like that I'm full screened either. J1K, I love it.
All I ask is have my back
As I walk along this long road. Lord, I know that it can get cold, okay, but I'm the coldest. Never been burned on my shoulders. Never been the type to get caught up in my emotions. Dream big, I got dreams bigger than oceans. And I can feel the hate coming from ones that feel the closest. Still won't let it change, remain the same till it's over.
Still won't let it change and remain the same till it's
God, I ask that you help me fight these demons. Help me manage problems that all this money might bring me. If I let you drive the boat, would you keep my head up from sinking? Say time is everything we have and don't just let that sink in. And this life is just a sin for forgiveness. My vision 2020, I spot the fakers from a distance. I'm in this for respect, you want the fame, and that's the difference. So when your fame runs out, all you really left with is pictures.
Hey.
Apologies, Trey 1K. I butchered the hell out of that.
I just watched our
Incredible.
viewer numbers just go down, down, down.
All right. Meek Leak said, "Oh no, Jacob, please no." Yeah, I
I
did
think
it.
you did great. I
Thank
think you
you.
did better than I did
A+.
at singing the French national
Hey.
anthem.
Gosh, that
for
was a
what it's
great
worth.
one.
That French national anthem slapped. I have paid my dues. I don't know
Well
how many more
done.
bets I have to pay off, but follow us on all of our social channels where we are posting all the bets payoffs so you can see all of them. Gentlemen, with that being said, let's talk some Thunder basketball. As I was sitting in bed this morning doing nothing except scrolling on my phone, watching TikToks, the Thunder start making some moves. Some stuff starts to
Big
hit the
moves.
wire. First one that comes across, Sterling Brown has been waived by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nick, give us the deep analysis on this move.
I had never been more distraught than when this news dropped this morning. It kind of felt like KD leaving again, but I think they'll, just like last time, they'll have a good opportunity to try to backfill him and regenerate that production that's being lost.
Do we
Literally
expect
shaking.
the other three Rockets that came over to meet the same fate over the next week?
Yes. The only one
I still think so.
Yeah. Marquise Chris was involved in that, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
He's the only one that's a maybe for me.
Yeah, just because they need another big with Favors being gone now.
Yep.
David Nwaba.
Meek Leak in the chat said exactly what I was just thinking, which is why not all four? Like that was the only thing that like threw me off about this news is like, why was it just about Sterling Brown? I kind of expected it to be all four. Like, all right, they're all gone. Trade's gone through. See you later. So maybe they are willing to check some of those guys out, see if they could earn a spot, see if they're a fit. And Sterling Brown was just like, no, I'm good. Or the Thunder were like, no, I'm good. Either way, it's kind of interesting. I would expect, since the other three didn't get announced now, that like maybe they're gonna get a little bit of time in training camp before that happens, a couple days at least, and kind of see what they have potentially. I don't know.
It's interesting because they had practice today. I don't think any of them are in town. Like the Thunder hasn't like posted on social media any of like the promo pictures of those guys and any updates on like numbers they're wearing. So they're not here. I don't think they're going to be in Denver tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think they're all going to get cut personally.
The only
Speaking
reason
of, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was going to say the only reason I like Chris is the the vertical spacing. I think that having a guy that's not part of the long-term plans, which if they kept Chris, likely wouldn't be part of the long-term plans unless he just balled out and fit nicely. Having like a lob threat or somebody that can help enhance the game of some of the guards, I think would be like worth a roster spot. Because right now, even with like JRE, Bays, like I don't know who is a real lob threat on this team. And we talked last year about get Shea and Josh a lob threat or get these young guys a lob threat. If Chris can be that and dunk the ball 4 times a game on a lob, he's worth it.
Jada might be the biggest lob threat at this point with Chet being out.
It's a really good point. And I was going to mention that too. Obviously, that was supposed to be Chet. Now he's not there. But to your point, Nick, like Chris fits that role. But at the same time, he's not a vertical lob threat, a kind of player who's going to help this team too much. So you can still get a feel for that.
Right.
Kind of like when we talk about Muscala playing alongside those guys, kind of imitating a Chet type of role that Chet will play in when he's healthy again. I see what you're saying there with Chris. It makes a lot of sense. I know Jacob and I talked, I think we agreed on Wednesday that would probably be our bet if any of the 4 players were to actually stick around here in OKC.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I have to be the guy to say the Thunder are very intentional about their locker room and their culture. I don't know if Marquise Chris necessarily fits that. He was in Golden State, fit in well with those guys. That, for all intents and purposes, is a very good locker room, a very good culture, and a very good franchise. I think that's part of the equation. I don't know where that plays in, and I don't know Marquise Chris personally, so I can't weigh on that. The other news that came across today, very interesting wording by the Thunder.
And like immediately after, too.
Yeah. The Thunder have
first
signed Sacha Killeya-Jones, who is a big man, played at Kentucky with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Never been in the league before. I think he's played on some summer league teams, maybe on some G League teams. He's played overseas. They say they've signed him. Is that to an Exhibit 10? They don't have an open 2-way. Is that to like a legit roster spot? Is this guy going to stay around? Is this just for G League purposes? They sign him, they cut him, they have their G League rights. What are we looking at with this guy? What's the move here by signing him? I felt like that was very out of left field this morning.
I think this is not confirmed. Him being signed to Exhibit 10 was reported back in July by Michael Scotto. It was never on the NBA transaction log. It was never announced by the Thunder. I think this is the same deal, but just now officially announced. So I think it's that Exhibit 10.
That's exactly what I was
certain
saying.
roster moves.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good find, you two.
Well, I Googled his name. That was the first thing I did. Like, who? And that's what came up is some articles from like late July talking about the Thunder signing him to an Exhibit 10. So I think you're dead on, Jacob. I think it's securing G League rights. So sign him to the Exhibit 10, send him down to the Blue, see what he can do. Personally, I don't think it's much more than that, but it definitely is interesting, especially on the heels of the Sterling Brown announcement.
Now, one thing I did find, you guys mentioned obviously that he played with SGA at Kentucky, and we also know that Presti does love a good former Kentucky player. But he also shares a agent with Josh Giddey, and we know how big Presti is on relationships. Obviously, I agree. It's nothing more than probably just a training camp invite and then to play with the OKC Blue. There's some relationships there for sure. And we know Presti values those. So worth noting.
Definitely. Anything else you guys are expecting? We kind of already talked about the other Houston Rockets guys. I'm on team waive them all. If they do waive them all, do they go into the season with 14 guys on full contracts, or does a guy like Lindy Waters get an opportunity and get bumped up on the Lou Dort special type of contract? Where do you guys see this going as we enter preseason and start coming down the stretch here, about a little less than 3 weeks away from the season?
I wouldn't be totally surprised if Lindy Waters' name was brought up, or if there was just a name, another Sacha Killeya-Jones that we just never heard of, that gets added to the end of the roster or before the season starts. Lindy seems to hang out with the guys a lot and like generally just around the team a ton. And it seems like he's been training a lot this offseason with them. Wouldn't be surprised if he was the guy.
I think my head's at I'd be more surprised if it was Lindy than if it was one of the Rockets guys. And I'd be more surprised if it was an open spot. Like I don't think they're going to leave that spot open. I think they're going to keep that roster number at 15. I think it's probably one of the Rockets guys. I don't know if it's Chris. I mean, I think your concerns are valid about culture, locker room fit, that kind of stuff, but maybe it's one of the other ones, or maybe it's somebody random. But I personally would be kind of surprised if it was Lindy Waters or one of the other guys that are kind of on the two-way G League Blue circuit.
I think that's fair. I could see also having an open roster spot and maybe converting Lindy at the end of the year, depending on how things go. That can make a lot of sense. Matt Clarkson in the chat kind of mentions that as well. I think something like that makes a little bit of sense. It's going to be fascinating, though, because we know that there's still a lot of stuff that still needs to unfold before we get to the regular season. Awesome. I left everybody speechless.
Indeed.
No, well, our guy Nick Crane just breaking news here live on the pod. Marquise Chris is listed as day-to-day on the injury report for tomorrow's OKC Denver preseason game. He is on that injury report.
Look at that.
Day-to-day with may or may not be waived.
Let me give a clarification. He's on the ESPN injury report, which is different than the one the team reports to the NBA, which will come out tomorrow. God, it's been so long I forget. There's like a deadline, like 1 p.m. or something for a 6 o'clock game. So we'll know for sure tomorrow.
Interesting. Actually, 8 o'clock game tomorrow, Nick.
Is it
Thank
really?
you very much. Yeah.
God,
Mountain time, baby.
I'm really on my game.
Perfect for me. That's like right after little guy goes down.
Yes.
When your little guy goes down?
Same.
Oh no.
Easy,
Tayler.
Nick. These are
What?
children.
I've got a very strict schedule, Nick. You got to stick to
Oh
it.
my god.
Sheesh.
For Justin, that's whenever all the pumpkin pie runs out, right?
Oh my god.
Silva, will you play
Oreos
the ads
these
before we
days.
move on to some things we're looking forward to in preseason?
Yeah.
What's up, Thunder fans? This is Jacob from the Uncontested Podcast, and I'm here to let you know that we have fully redesigned our merch store to get you the best Thunder swag available. Just visit cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested Podcast to find all of our new designs. That's cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested Podcast to find new drops like Josh Giddey's Wizard of Oz or an ode to the Trey Man Step Back. We've also got all the classics like Dortal Combat, Liu Tang Clan, and everyone's favorite MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The best part? You can get any design and the style of apparel you want. So if you're gearing up for the summer and want a tank top, needing a hoodie for the winter in Australia, or you're wanting a Pokemon onesie for your baby, we've got you covered. Make sure to go to cottonbureau.com and search the Uncontested Podcast to get your new Thunder gear today. And we are back. Gentlemen, preseason basketball, 24 hours away. So today on this show, we're going to look at the 5 biggest things we are looking for in the Thunder preseason. 5 things. 5 whole things. I'm also echoing from somebody. I don't know where that's coming from. Thing number 1. And Justin, we're going to start with you, and we're just going to roundtable and talk about all 5 of these things. Thing number 1 that we're looking for in Thunder preseason. Is the Trey Man hype real?
Yes. That's what my heart says. I'm very, 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 very excited about watching Trey Man. I think multiple people have talked about his body transformation. That was definitely a big theme from media days. I think that I'm excited to see what he worked on in the offseason. We saw the space creation. I'd love to see an improvement in like finishing and things like that. I want to see, can he shot 39% from 3 last year. Is that a sustainable number? Can it go up? What's his ceiling in that regard? I'd love to see him, kind of leading a second unit more often. I think there's a lot of different places that he could evolve his game this season. I'm excited to see all of it. We did some like bold-ish but cautionary comparisons to rookie James Harden last year. Does second-year Trey Man look like second-year James Harden? If it does, I think you definitely start to buy into some of that Trey Man hype. Can he take that evolution in his game this year? But as of now, I'm putting my eggs in the Trey Man basket.
I would agree. I also think this Justin's famous quote that he always says about summer league not meaning anything. I kind of take the same of preseason. So do I think Trey Man will ball out? Yes. Do I think that is like, okay, yeah, this is real? Not quite. Not quite. But I am excited for it.
Nick, what could Trey do in the preseason to start to lead you down the path down? Yeah, he's made a jump. This is legit. Like, he's really freaking good now.
In the entire preseason or just tomorrow?
In the entire preseason. That's kind of what this exercise is for.
Okay. 6 games, 22 assists. It's not even scoring based. It's facilitation.
Almost 4 a game.
I think
Quick maths, baby. Quick maths.
Wow. That's been my biggest thing with Trey is what does he offer besides scoring? So I'm kind of with you, Nick. Like I want to see what else he does as far as running the offense. What does he do? What does his defense look like? He was engaged a lot last year, but he's a smaller guy. Maybe now that he's bulked up, he can take more of a beating there. I'm excited.
That's kind of what I
for
was
me. It's like not about running the offense stuff and assist stuff. Like that would be nice, but the Thunder have guys that are going to do that. Like I want to see Trey be more engaged at the point of attack on defense and like really like make a defensive impact. And then the second thing for me is getting to and finishing at the rim. He could get to the rim last year, really struggled to convert when he got there. I thought that Celtics game where he really snapped was probably his best game finishing at the rim. And the way he did that was he would get like under his defender and do these like long reached out scoop shots high off the glass after beating a big around the corner. I want to see more of the, I'm going to put this on your effing head, Trey man. Like that aggressiveness going to the basket, still shooting the ball, looking for a shot. That's one of the things a lot of the guys said about seeing from Trey this summer was he was a lot better at the rim. I want to see him use that extra weight he put on defensively and at the basket. That's what would really start to push me down the path of, okay, he's starting to put it together.
That's what I was thinking as well, Jacob. And I forget what I was listening to. It might have been like the Thunder's actual podcast where they mentioned like Trey Mann apparently like going in and getting offensive rebounds and crashing the boards, utilizing that side, that new size that we saw at Media Day, right? Like seeing him put that to use. Because like you mentioned, a lot of players, when asked about it, mentioned Trey Mann as somebody who seems like he's, if not taking the leap, looks like he's improved the most in the offseason. Seeing him drive to the rim, being able to finish through contact is going to be huge. But something that Scotty Toot Act, sorry if I got that wrong, Toot Act, that's probably it.
Caught in the act again.
I mentioned his catch and shoot numbers, especially playing alongside like Shea and Giddey once Shea is eventually healthy again. If he's going to be able to get on the floor and close for this team, he's going to have to improve on things like you guys mentioned, his defense, but also the catch and shoot ability when he's playing alongside guys like Shea and Giddey specifically. So those are the things I'm going to be looking for, see if we can see some improvement there. I'm not looking at like the stats as much as I am, like you said, Jacob, some of the more tangibles with that new size.
Here's a fun stat related to Trey Mann. So he shot 4.5 threes a game, 39%. I looked this up on StatMuse. I've not like independently verified this or anything like that. So if it's wrong, blame them. Can you name over the last couple seasons the only other players to shoot at least 39% from three on at least 4 attempts a game?
What are the parameters again? 39% from three,
run
4
that
attempts a
back.
game.
Correct. As a rookie.
Oh, as a rookie.
As a rookie.
Do not know.
In the last how many years?
Last couple, I'm looking through the stats. I didn't.
And there's
add
only
a year's
one?
parameter, and it's like the last 3 seasons is what I'm seeing.
And there's only one guy.
2
guys.
Oh, dang
2
it.
guys.
Dang it.
Tyrese Halliburton and Desmond Bain.
Oh, I was thinking about
Interesting.
Thunder guys.
No,
I was like, who
there are
on
no Thunder
earth?
guys. No, but like
Imagine
I think
that.
it's interesting. I always like to, comps as much as you can, but just kind of giving like a something to compare it to. I think it's really interesting. Both of those guys, obviously. I think you'd take that career development for Trey Mann for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Desmond Bain is an insane shooter, totally different body. Tyrese Halliburton is like, it's hard to find a really good comp for Trey. Like a lot of people like to say like Jordan Poole or Anthony Simons.
Yep.
I think those ones are pretty close. I don't like the Jordan Clarkson ones as much. Maybe that's just bias because I'm not a big Jordan Clarkson guy.
Nick said Gary Trent Jr. like a year ago, and I still think that's
That's interesting.
pretty darn good one.
Hey,
Well, thank you.
apparently you can trade Gary Trent Jr. in the first for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, so he's pretty damn good.
Dude, what was the one? It was like Cameron Payne was the centerpiece.
Oh, campaign Sarich and someone else that's
Basically
barely
salary
Silva's got it
matching.
memorized.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And 3
Hey,
bursts.
Nick, have you ever done cocaine?
Don't
Because
answer
if you
that.
haven't, don't
That's
judge
not
the
even
guy.
All right.
Right.
Cocaine. That's like shrooms or like something that just makes you
Oh, I got
completely
the whole thing for you,
hallucinate.
just so we can all just fume together. It's Sarich, Campaign, Landry, Shaman, and 2 firsts.
Holy shit, Landry Shamit.
Yeah.
Okay, question.
God
question.
sham it.
Question: Would that deal even get you Lou Dort?
No.
That's a good question.
Oh boy.
No,
I
I
don't-
don't think so.
I don't think so.
I
Sad.
don't want to shit on people, but that's just fan
Yeah, well.
fiction.
It is.
That's worse than Harry Potter erotica, and it's hard to get worse than that.
Oh,
you
wow.
know,
That was very
Like-
specific.
That's the
Worse
thing.
than what?
I know,
You pulled that
it's
in
you
so
never
wild.
read some good old Harry Potter erotica, Nick?
No.
Harry
It
Potter
is.
pulls out his
Jacob sits
wand.
alone.
It sounds like
Hopping.
it sounds
Sits
like
alone
something
in
you'd
his
watch,
room.
not something you'd read.
With clutching his sword of Godric Gryffindor.
Oh
Hey.
no.
We'll
rubbing
find
the
out what's in the
steel
Chamber of
across his
Secrets, baby.
face.
Oh
Good
no.
grief.
Our
Listen,
next of our 5 biggest things we're looking forward to in
Expecto
preseason
Patronum.
basketball. Who plays center? And what does a center rotation look like? There's no Derek Favors on this team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Chet Holmgren on this team. I think the only player who, like, on a depth chart has a C next to their name is F-C next to Mike Muscala. I don't even know if JRE has the C next to his name for center. Silva, who plays center for this team? And what do rotations there look like? Are we going to see, like, Usman at the 5? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a puzzle right now. I think JRE is probably going to be the guy right away. A combination of like JRE paired with someone at the 4 that can help with rim protection a bit, such as like Darius Baisley or Poku. I think is what we're going to see a lot. Derek Favors, I thought, was going to get a ton of minutes with Chet being out. So that makes me wonder, are they going to play Jay Will more? Is he going to come in and play center? Or like you said, are they going to throw Usman in at center, which would be strange, but I don't know. I think Mike Muscala played some of that last year, and the offense looked good with him there with his stretching ability. Boy, yeah, JRE I think is going to get most of the minutes there. Then maybe we see. I guess if I had to bet,
Like, you need 48 minutes in a
Right.
basketball game
Yeah.
with someone technically playing that position. How
yeah.
many minutes do you think JRE plays there?
Oh wow.
How many minutes do you think
Yeah.
JRE just plays?
Yeah, I'm looking at how many minutes he got last year. on
let's
average.
go. Let's go 28 JRE. Let's go 10 backup bays. Let's go 8 Muscala and 2.
For reference, JRE played
Woods.
22 minutes a game last year.
He's gonna have to play a lot this year. He's gonna have to.
He
The
playing a
answer is
lot more.
obviously Sacha Killeya-Jones. we're all missing the big picture right in front of us.
There's
Marquise
definitely
Chris,
someone out there.
obviously.
There's definitely someone out there that tweeted that out when the signing happened. Like, oh, this guy is gonna be the next Thunder center.
This is the answer.
Do you guys think Do you think this points to Jay Will getting more minutes than maybe we initially thought?
I think
Later
so.
in the
After
season, maybe. I don't see it early, though.
I don't
Yeah.
either. I think he's going to be on the blue.
He looked really rough in summer
in
league.
summer league.
Holy cannoli.
Holy cannoli.
I mentioned this on a podcast like a week ago. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah, you are.
Uh-oh.
Center Poku.
Let it
Center
rip.
Poku, man.
Oh wow.
Can he steal minutes there?
Silva.
If you're playing alongside like a Baisley or JRE, but like in those lineups,
Yeah.
who do you consider the center? And that's where it gets
Yeah.
interesting, right? And I mean, that's what Pressie's going for. We've talked so much about that. They are going to throw out lineups with Baisley and JRE and Poku and Usman Jang and Baisley, right? Like as your front court bigs. That's just how this team is built. And no, it's not going to work and always look super great here this season. But the goal and the hope is that 2 seasons from now, that Poku's continue to get bigger. JRE is big enough that he can do that. Usman Jang can play some forward minutes, especially on the defensive end of the floor. We even have talked about Josh Giddey being able to defend forwards. I kind of think that's what goal is here, even if that results in obviously losses this upcoming season.
Coach mentioned the other day, Nick, that they are going to leave the center position fluid and they're going to rotate guys in there. I think part of that is for size matchups. Like, you don't want Darius Baisley at center against Nikola Jokic. I mean, you don't really want anybody at center against Jokic because he's going to eat. Or a guy like Joel Embiid. I think JRE is going to get those matchups where the center is like a very large human being. But by keeping it quote unquote fluid, like, I'm sorry, I don't see Mike Muscala starting games this year unless something goes horribly wrong and somebody is hurt.
Yeah.
The only other options you have there are Baze and Poku, unless you think J. Will is taking a leap in one summer.
Yeah. No, I think thinking about football, a lot of times when a team doesn't have like a strong running back one or receiver one, they do like a by committee. That's what this feels like a lot.
I think that's fair. One question before we move on from this one. We're talking like JRE probably starts at center. Muscala will get minutes. Poku, Baisley. By the end of this season, is somebody that's not currently on this roster starting at center for the Thunder?
By the end of the season?
Mm-hmm. And I don't mean like an Olivier Sarr.
Someone, that was the best.
Someone they pulled out to scrap heap. I'm talking
back.
like they make a trade for a guy that they like who can play center and maybe will slot in as like a backup behind Chet next year.
Miles Turner back up big.
That's what I was just about to say. Is that Miles Turner's music?
I really,
what is
really
Miles
don't.
Turner's music?
Something Lego thing. Probably the Lego Everything is Awesome song.
Oh God. That is too accurate.
I think it's plausible. If there's a candidate out there, I know we've talked about Miles Turner before, and that'd be amazing if you ask me. But there are other options out there. I don't think it's like maybe necessarily like a big priority. I think if there's somebody out there that's in a good situation and there's a trade to be had, I think you pull the trigger on it. But once again, just like last year, I don't think the construction of this team is necessarily an accident. And I think it, no matter how good players 1 through 4 are, if you quite literally don't have a 5, you're going to lose a lot of basketball games.
Yep. That's what I was going to say, Justin. My answer to this is no for that very reason. Unless, again, Press has left this very vague on purpose, but if this Thunder team is able to declare themselves prior to the trade deadline, meaning that they are solely in contention for a playoff spot. And I just don't see that to be very likely as much as I think they will be better than last season. And so for that reason, I really don't think we'll see a new center brought in until potentially the draft.
The thing is, like, the reason I say no also, whether it's later in the season at the trade deadline or now, the roster, like Justin said, doesn't have a center. Like, that's not changing. So if it's not a priority, there's been plenty of time to address it. Even after Chet's injury, they've had weeks and weeks and weeks to actually make a move if they really wanted the center, unless there's just like a sweet deal out there. Like, come get this guy for nothing and you got nothing to lose.
Right.
Why would they wait until the end of the season versus now? They're all about continuity. And like, if they wanted that center, they would have gotten him.
Flip side, maybe some other teams get into the season and the year doesn't go as planned and they're not as good. And that's when guys become available. And that's when they can make a trade, Right.
Yeah, if they're not as good, though, they're probably not going to trade their young players because that means they're probably building for the future. Unless you're talking like a 28-year-old backup big.
Yeah,
like
very true.
What if Atlanta wants to unload Clint Capella or something since he's expiring? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like that. Let's move on.
Me either.
Third biggest thing we are looking forward to in preseason. Taylor, you can start us off with this one. After some comments at practice, do we have a Poku Baisley camp battle happening right now?
It's interesting because these are two players that we've talked a lot about primarily here over the past month or so as we've gotten closer to this point, training camp, but also just throughout the summer in general. And like, these are two guys that are kind of on prove it seasons, right? Poku, I think more so as in, does he get that next contract? Baisley, is he going to get that extension, or is he going to become would it be a restricted free agent or unrestricted this upcoming summer?
He'll
I think
be restricted next summer.
So maybe, I mean, I still would be very shocked to see Poku. I know we talked about this 2 podcasts ago, maybe, or the last podcast. I would be shocked to see Poku start immediately over Baisley. But if Poku truly has taken that jump or has continued to improve as much as some of the players and Coach Dagnall have said in training camp, like, it could certainly happen. And if that's the case, that does not bode well for Darius Baisley long-term with the Thunder. But at this point, I don't know if it's as much as a competition as much as it is like it's interesting to hear people rave or speak highly on Poku and not too much about Baze outside of the rookies coming in saying, I didn't realize Baze was so athletic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some of the comments that Coach made about Poku really fascinate me, Nick. They talked about he's put on weight. He looks bigger, especially in his lower body. I'll leave that up to your imagination. They talk specifically about him like being more efficient and on offense being more of a connector. And Coach made the comparison to Draymond Green. He said he's not Draymond Green, but that idea of he's like this secondary creator. He can take it off the rim and push. He can spot up outside, and when Shea or Josh drive and kick, he can get the ball, catch it, make a move, drive. And that's where he can really get his passing involved on like a second action or short rolling off of a pick and roll, setting a screen, rolling in, catching the ball at about the free throw line, turning and being able to survey and make quick decisions. I don't know. I mean, Darius Baisley has been a good defender, right? I think Poku's kind of been a little bit of an underrated defender. If the defense really comes around for Poku, I think the offensive skill set is so much more versatile that maybe he does fit in better than a Darius Baisley would. And I think it's also interesting to consider, I think it's up until Halloween that both of these guys are extension eligible. I think that's right. I think both Poku and Baisley can sign an extension through the end of October.
I think Poku's next year.
He can sign one the third year of his deal. I mean, that's when Shea signed his max extension, was this summer between year 3 and 4.
Those are generally just the max guys, though, that do that.
That's fair. Yeah. That's definitely fair. But
Poku
I
max?
think the option is there. No.
You heard it here first.
Poku max.
I
everything you just said is things that Baisley can't do. Like the things that you were talking about.
Dude, when Baisley dribbles the ball, I want to go vomit.
Well, see, hold your breath and pray to God.
That's basically why I agree that there's going to be like minutes they're fighting for, because in positionless basketball and fluid basketball, as Mark would say, a center could be competing with the point guard for minutes, even though they're not competing for the same positional minutes. Like there's going to be funky lineups where there may not be a center, or there's going to be a bigger lineup or a smaller lineup. I just still don't even see Baze and Poku as comparable players, because I think Poku is like a 2-3, like a guard wing, whereas I think Baisley is more of a forward backup center. Like I think he's proven, based on the comments you just made about dribbling, like I initially thought he would end up being a 3, like a legit wing. The jump shot would come around, the dribbling would come around. It's just not. So I think he's limited to being a stretch 4 or undersized 5, and I think Poku is, quite frankly, neither of those things. So I think it's been interesting.
I think defensively, Poku starting to become more of a big as far as his rim protection and stuff. I don't know. Justin, was there another point? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Justin.
He's always had the shot blocking, right? If he can do that in a little bit more of like all right, I can give you some resistance in the post kind of way, instead of like, it felt like it was oftentimes, shutting down drives to the basket or fast breaks or things like that. Like if he can hold his own in a post-up situation, again, not all the time, not against the Jokic's and Embiids of the world, but just like serviceable, that's a huge difference for Poku, right? Like he's not just this kind of spaghetti arm fella waving around on the perimeter doing who knows what. Like there's a little bit more something there. So I think it will be very interesting to see how that translates. Is this just like camp talk that we all forget about in a month and it like never translates to actual regular season game? I think that's very plausible. But I think if what we're hearing has any merit and is tangible when the NBA season starts, it's going to get very interesting, the minutes distribution between Poku and Bays for sure.
Here's what you just brought up a good point, Justin. We saw the Poku muscle watch at training camp.
Yes.
I want to see what he looks like next to another human being on the court tomorrow.
You
know what I mean?
Yes.
It really
Yes.
is. Against
Like just because he's
Jokic.
gained 8 or 10 pounds doesn't mean he's
20
even close to
20
being.
pounds.
That's what the roster says. We'll see what that actually looks like on the floor.
Nick was listed as like 6'3" on the Owasso.
Seriously.
Were you really?
No,
I think
but
it was like 6'1" or 6'2".
Incredible.
But no, I mean, until we see, like, I think in theory, yeah, like if Poku could actually get strong enough and thick enough to guard someone in the post, totally. But for all we know, he could get thrown out there tomorrow and get bodied by DeAndre Jordan, which is going to be like, oh, this is concerning.
the corpse of DeAndre. No, it's a good point. Now, Meek Leak also brings up a good point that I think is interesting here before we move on. Can Poku really play as a connector? How many connectors do we need? My thoughts here is there's a difference between like a connector at Poku's position and a connector like a J-Dub or, one of these guys who can play both guard and wing positions and can play off ball and on ball. I think the Poku connector is a little different. Just like you said, Jacob, they don't mention it being more of a Draymond role. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I don't think more connectors is a bad thing. And you don't rely on that person every possession, but what it does is you get that fluid ball movement. You like Draymond's been brought up, but like the Warriors are the perfect example, right? Everybody, when they put out those the death lineups, they're all connectors, right? Everybody can move the ball, everybody can play make, everybody's got good basketball IQ. That's what makes them so versatile. There's not that like black hole on the offense where you pass this guy the ball, they're either doing one of two things. Like everybody out there brings a little bit to the table. If Poku has that, then you absolutely see the merit over playing him over Bays, because Bays doesn't have as much of the connector versatility to his game. You kind of know what he's going to do, right? He's got a couple moves. He's going to try to drive the basket and dunk it over you, or he's going to just pass it back out to the 3-point arc. Like there's not a ton else that you're probably expecting to see from him.
And connector doesn't have to be a non-scorer. Like you can be a connector that also has the ability to score.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Connector to me means you are versatile, can read the floor, and can connect the ball from one place to another place.
Yep.
Like Jokic is a connector, but he's also like an MVP.
Someone
Very
that makes
much.
decisions very quickly, like a half second, catch the ball, they can make a decision.
Yeah. Thunder haven't had a lot of those in the past, especially at that position. I think a lot about Serge Ibaka, not a connector.
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant
more of the
started
black hole.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeremy Grant started to show it a little bit in the later stages of his Thunder career.
Yep.
Domantas Sabonis didn't get a chance to show it off his rookie year, but very much a connector. We're thinking about things like that, I think, is where our minds go whenever we talk connector.
Yep.
Number 4 on things we're looking forward to most in the preseason. Nick, you'll start this one. How much do J-Dub and Usman play? And do they start? Do they play off the bench? Are they not in the rotation? We talk a lot about J-Dub. I want to talk a little bit more just because I love talking about J-Dub because he's freaking awesome. I feel like we don't talk about the guy that got taken the pick before him, which is Usman Jang, and kind of what we expect out of him this season, and what the range is, what the high and the low is, and what do we expect from him in this preseason and then going into the regular season?
Preseason, I think both J-Dub and Usman play a lot and start at least a game, especially like the Sunday game next week is against, some overseas team that, frankly, that Josh Giddey should not even play in that game. Let him play a bunch against the 36ers, his old team on, what's that, Thursday or Friday, and then don't play in the next one. So I think they're both going to play a lot. There's going to be a few games that those guys have a chance to start. And especially with Shea out, Usman's similar to Poku, where people look at him and say, oh, he's 6'10", 6'11". He's going to be fighting for forward minutes. But the dude's a guard. Like he could start at the 2 and be just fine. So don't know. I don't think they'll be out of the rotation in the preseason. I think that Usman might be out of the rotation in the regular season to start the year a bit. I don't know. J-Dub, different story. Like, I think we all agree that that dude should be playing from day one.
I think I agree with. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a quick question. Do you guys think J-Dub starts tomorrow?
Not
No.
tomorrow, but like I said, I bet he starts. Him and Usman both start one of the first 4 games.
Who does start tomorrow then?
Is it Trey, man?
It is Giddy, Lou, JRE, Bays, Poku.
Poku. So you're on the Jacob
interesting.
train. I like that. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think if it's not J-Dub, my guess would be Trey Man.
Who you got, Justin?
I think I am with you, Nick. Actually, I think that sticking with guys who've been around, been in the system, feels like the safe bet for the first game. You know, guys that know what they're doing versus throwing a rookie out there. Later games, even by game 2, I think that goes out the window. But I think you stick with guys who have a couple years under their belt, at least to start the game. You know, as the game goes on, like, does Us get a bunch of minutes? Like, totally plausible.
See, to me, as we get later in the preseason, we start to see more of what the actual starting lineup and the rotations will look like versus early on. I wouldn't be surprised if I hope this does not happen, knock on wood. I wouldn't be surprised if like Josh sat tomorrow. You know, like that wouldn't shock me. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
Really?
that would shock me too.
I'd be shocked in game 1.
From like a marketing, ticket sales, etc. standpoint, I think tomorrow is super important.
They probably sit pretty early.
Interesting.
That was kind of what I was going to go into.
Considering it's a game that's only on the app,
Yeah.
I might disagree with that a little bit. But a lot of teams have been like sitting their big guys so far. But I think flip side of that coin, the Thunder are a very young team who are trying to build continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you do play your guys a lot during the preseason because you don't really care.
I
I'm
go back
talking
to
less about the app and like how many people watch the game and more about like hype and storylines.
Getting people into the arena.
That's
That's
fair.
and I think about
tomorrow's not.
Daig's comments at Media Day. One of his comments that stuck out to me is he said something like, you know, this first preseason game, it's coming kind of early in training camp. And he kind of likes that because sometimes like he gets a little antsy just watching the guys go against each other all the time. That when you get that first game is really where you get to see like, all right, this is what I have. And that's why I think like they're going to want to play their dudes in game 1 because Diggs wants to see what they have. He wants to see them against another team, get a real kind of gut check of like, all right, what do the guys on this roster look like against real other NBA competition? Now, asterisk still preseason, but I think it's kind of a measuring stick. And then I think as you go on, you get more comfortable knowing what you have.
For the record, my starting lineup tomorrow is Josh, Lou, J-Dub, Poku, JRE.
Yeah.
That's my
like
dream
that.
lineup. I'm sticking with
Bays.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on the rookies? I'm really excited to watch Usman.
I'm excited to watch both of them. I think we'll see more J-Dub early on in preseason, as well as more minutes with the actual starters. Where I think J-Dub, his role will kind of change like as the games go along. We'll see him some with the starters, but then we'll see him take more of an on-ball approach when he's playing with some of these other rookies and some of these other guys. Where Us, I think, is pretty much going to have he'll get some rotation minutes with some of these other guys as well. But I think we won't see that much more of him until later on in the preseason when, you know, you're starting to give guys rest and really kind of gearing up for the regular season. So I think J-Dub will see a lot of early, or we'll see some of early. His role will change as we get later into the preseason based off who he's playing with.
All right, go ahead.
One more thing. Usman's defense, don't forget that dude can lock up.
It's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to be.
That will earn
I really
him
want to
some
see
minutes
what progress he's made.
Yep.
Last one, number 5. of our 5 things we're looking for in preseason. Just all about Josh Giddey. The size, the shot, the physicality he plays with that we saw at Summer League. JD, just what are some specific things you're going to be watching for that Josh does in the preseason that you're hoping to see that he's grown in?
Yeah, first thing I'll look for is what does his form look like? Because I think we've seen it in 3 somewhat variations over the last summer or so. At the end of the season and all last season, we saw it in one form. Summer League, we could tell he was working on it. It looked different then. Then I feel like at the summer run they had in LA when it was like the Thunder and Evan Mobley and those guys, I felt like it looked even different than Summer League. So I'm curious, since he's working with Chip 2 to 3 times a day, if it looks even better now. I want to see what his shot profile looks like. Is he still taking primarily mid-range shots and posting up a ton? How much is he looking for threes? Like, is he running off screens and trying to catch things and really force his shot, or is he just taking what the defense allows? And I want to see, we know he's put on muscle. What does he look like compared to real NBA players now? Because he was kind of dwarfing a lot of the guys in Summer League, just bullying people into the post whenever he wanted. Can he do that against larger NBA players?
I love that post game.
I agree. I think I agree with everything you said, Silva. I would add 2 things. I want to see increased ball handling. Like, we know the passing's there. We know the vision's there. He finds passing lanes that are just ridiculous. But there was also a lot of times where he got ripped coming around the top of the key. And instances like that, it definitely felt like teams were preying on that a little bit, coming over from behind. I want to see that shored up a little bit. I think he'll get plenty of opportunity to do that while Shea is injured. Getting to be, the primary ball handler a lot of times. I think seeing that shored up is going to be big. And then I'd love to see, with Chip England, everyone wants to see the 3-pointer. I want to see development in the floater game. I think if he could add that dimension and really hone a really solid floater, I think that would be just lethal for Deadly, because you combine that, or for Giddey, because you combine that with his passing ability, and I think it gives him so many options that makes him really tough to defend.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to see, this is super specific, but I want to see him shoot a 3 tomorrow and his leg not kick forward and he lands square with 2 feet.
Yep.
Nothing playmaking can surprise me from him.
Yep.
I'm not worried about that. The 3-point obviously is a big one. And JD, Nick, I can't get over the physicality going to the rim that he played with in Summer League. I know he knew he was the best guy out there. He was bigger than a lot of guys, but the weight he's put on this summer, if he can play with that, I think back specifically to Utah Summer League where he dunked all over that poor son of a bitch. If he can do stuff like that, if he can be very aggressive getting to the basket and get to the free throw line more, that's huge for that kid. I also wanted to read off some stats to you guys. I don't know how they go about coming up with these, but ESPN's fantasy NBA, fantasy basketball, has player projections for next year for Josh Giddey, and they only have them for some. For instance, Trey Mann doesn't have a projection up here. I don't get that. For Josh Giddey, though, they project him playing 3 more minutes than last year, going from 31.6 to 34.2. They project him to have a 1% field goal percentage increase from 41.9 to 42.8. They got the free throw percentage going up by 2 percentage points. Here's the interesting part to me. Rebounds, they have him going from 7.8 to 8.4. Assists, 6.4 to 8. And points, 12.5 to 14. So they're projecting Josh to be 14, 8.5, and 8 next season. That's kind of wild.
That's pretty. Those are
That's
good
nearly
stats.
averaging a triple-double.
Indeed.
Yeah. Isn't that flirting with all-star status? If we're talking about SGA being an all-star, I'm not saying Giddey would, but with those hypothetical stat lines, that's.
That'd be very
That'd be
impressive.
impressive.
I want to pick him
he's-
up in fantasy.
That's
If
that's
the
like
case.
that's like 4 or 5 points a game from what DeJounte Murray did last year.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He was an all-star. Good point.
It's interesting stuff. Okay, so our 5 things we're looking forward to the most, wanting to watch during Summer League: the Trey Man hype, the center rotation, who plays there, Poku versus Baisley, who kind of comes out on top of this 2-man like fight for minutes. What do the rookies, especially J-Dub and Usman, look like? How do they play? What is their role? And then lastly, Josh Giddey, the shot, the physicality. Meek Leak brings up a great point in the chat. The biggest thing we need to learn from Giddey, or see from Giddey, is the synergy with Shea. Unfortunately, we don't get that this preseason. And that kind of sucks. That'd be a great time to see those two synergize together.
Yep.
Would be great
Well-
to see Chet Holmgren out there too. The hype would be.
All right. All
Thanks,
right.
Nick.
I don't want to be around anymore.
All right, gentlemen, any last thoughts before we end this show? The next time we do a show, the Oklahoma City Thunder will have played kind of an NBA basketball game.
Just
Big
can't
thought,
wait.
but before we leave, how about this? Instead of asking if you have thoughts, one big prediction for tomorrow night. And like, I know we kind of led this with Nick. Following it back up, give me like a legit, like, I think this is going to happen. It's going to be pretty important tomorrow night.
I'm gonna go 2 blocks, 2 steals from Usman.
Like it.
That's fun.
I was waiting for one of you all. Heard you guys talk.
The pressure. Oh
I-
God, Taylor go.
So
I think
sheepish.
This isn't like super bold by any means, but I think even being the primary ball handler with Shea out, Josh Giddey is still the leading scorer for the Thunder tomorrow night.
I'm gonna say Trey Man doesn't miss a 3 all night.
Ooh.
0 for 0.
That's
baby.
Loophole.
I'm gonna say J-Dub has 2 alley oops. Is that number too low? Should I have gone higher?
himself.
No, I like that. I like that a lot.
I'm going to say reverse from what I said at the start of the show. I don't think Poku's stat line is going to be like, oh my God, 25, 5, and 5. But I think we're going to leave and we're going to say he had a
Poku
solid
looked good.
game. He was efficient. He played good defense, his rotations. He had a couple of blocks.
Outplayed Jokic.
Just it's not the sexy, crazy, he does something awesome and then he throws a behind the back pass and knocks out Mike Malone on the sideline type of shit. But it's just going to be something where we say, this guy looks like a legit NBA role player.
We need Poku, the player, to transcend the meme of Poku.
Yes.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
We'll see.
You know
Way
how
to put it.
you'll look at like a established 10-year player and you'll go back and look at their like rookie photo and you're like, holy crap. I'm not talking like Steven Adams is a crazy anomaly, but almost every player that's like, whether it's a beard or a new hairdo or just looking older, what does Poku look like
Voldemort.
in 2028?
Oh, in the
God.
future. Sorry. Harry Potter on the
Something, I think he looks the exact same.
You think
Literally
That
the
feels right.
Maybe more smooth, but looks the exact same.
I'd love it if he grew a beard.
he could,
I don't know if
look
he
like
can.
he'd look like Silva.
Yep.
I want full Chris Anderson treatment. Like
Oh, that's
Oh,
fine.
dude, if
completely
Poku
tatted up.
Tatted up.
Oh,
From
my.
ankles to
Happy.
eyeballs, like give it to me all. I would love that so much, and it's all like
What-
Serbian gang tats. Like, sign me.
What
up.
if he came back next season? What if he has like a breakout year this year, plays really good, gets a contract extension? Next year he comes back, ponytail.
Oh my god.
Rat tail even.
No, dude. If he had a
Oh.
rat tail, I would get a
Dude.
tattoo of Poku.
Like Jedi Apprentice braid
Yes.
coming
Yeah.
down? Sold. I'd buy his jersey immediately.
Full on Anakin Skywalker rat tails.
I love
I'd have a
all
blast
those.
if I could see a picture of 2028 Poku versus like rookie Poku, and it just looks the exact same mirror image.
Feels like that'd be right.
Yep.
Maybe like missing a single tooth.
What's that weight loss meme that always goes around? It's like the guy, same
Alex
picture
Jones
a month later.
where he just red.
He just has a tan in his
Okay, but slightly more red.
So, but play the outro music, please. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you. We'll be back post Thunder Denver preseason game number 1. Yours truly will be rocking that one. Maybe one of these assholes will join and co-host with me. We'll have a good time. Have a great Monday. We will talk to you in like 24 hours. Hit us on socials. Let us know what your big prediction for night number 1 is. We'll retweet some of our favorite ones. Make sure you sub to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs before the season starts. That'd be awesome. Hit us up in the DMs for an uncontested hat. I had someone else hit me while we were recording tonight. So get an uncontested hat because they are going quick. Drop a 5-star rating for some stickers. I think that's all I got. We'll talk to you guys very soon. Until then, and as always, Thunder up.